rely on. Yeshal mi lismoich. I had someone to rely on. And I was different for that reason. And now I understand, he said, who that person was. It was my grandfather. It was just a short synopsis of his sometimes having that long look in life, and how it came about that he was able to save this family at least. Scusi, you're going to learn.
I remember you telling that story before. I believe it was Lynn, Massachusetts.
Could be.
You said Lynn in the previous time.
I don't recall. Anybody?
Never used to say the story many times, but this second part is a newer part.
Yeah, the second part I don't remember.
That's a newer
The
thing.
first part, I know
It's a
well.
newer.
And that first part I remember is mentioned.
A few years ago, we went to the Jets for Shabbos.
It's not a few years already. It's already a good 15 years ago.
Less than 15.
Where were you then?
It's a
You
little
were
over 10
married?
years.
You were married then?
Yeah. It's a little over 10 years.
Gotta make a new trip.
I'm thinking of going to Ukraine. Then.
Rich Meyer's going Hanukkah.
To Ukraine?
I'm not going to go to Ukraine now.
He's going to Uman, yeah. From Medjugorje.
Shemai is going?
He's not Margash from these
Omadoi noi li Yaakov. Yaakov, Bochadoi noi li Yaakov. Goladoi noi es Another story of my grandfather. I'll talk about the house that my grandmother had in the West End. About, I would say, 20 years ago, I was sitting here in my office, minding my own business, and one of the people in the office comes over and says, "There's this old Italian lady who wants to come and see you." So, okay. And she comes into the office with her daughter, and she sees the sign outside. It says, Levi Horowitz. You don't look like Levi Horowitz. He should be about 30, 40 years older than you. So I said, he is. I happen to be his son. And it was in the summertime, and my father spends his summers in Israel. And therefore, he's not here right now, so I take care of the day-to-day operations in his absence. Sure enough, she tells me, we lived in the West End across the street from your grandfather and grandmother. And we were the Shabbos goys. Those days they didn't have time clocks, so they used to have a goy come in, shut the lights or whatever. That was how they asked us to take care of it, and we gladly acquiesced. And there were years of the depression where we couldn't make ends meet. But thank God to your grandmother, because your grandmother used to be careful about not eating an egg with a blood spot. And those days they didn't candle the eggs. So sometimes you got a dozen eggs, and a good 8 of them had blood spots in them. And she didn't throw it away, but she used to give it to us since we took care of the synagogue lights on the Sabbath. And my parents, I was your father's age, and my parents, we lived on that, and that's how we were able to get through the depression. So it was a situation where my grandmother didn't have what to do with those eggs because she couldn't eat it because they weren't kosher, because they had the blood spots, and they were able to help out people who helped them. Just a little bit idea of how you could be Mekadosh Shem Shemayim sometimes. This old Italian lady still remembered and wanted to come up and let me know how wonderful my grandparents were. Another story that I had was when I was studying to be a Moel in Israel by Rabbi Yossel Weisberg was his name. They would call him Yossel Moel. He did many of the brisim in Yerushalayim. He was called the Yerushalayim the Moel, Jerusalem Moel. He told me one day when we were traveling, he told me, I met somebody in Shul by me who told me that he spent a Pesach by your grandfather in Boston. In those days, it wasn't like today. Before Pesach, a lot of times, you have a whole bunch of Mishlochim want to come right before Pesach here, because in New York, they tell them after Purim, they're not allowed in because we have to clean up for Pesach. So they try to get to us here in Boston. They figured this is open season in Boston.
Cleaning the business also included getting rid of the Mishlochim.
Well, that's only the last day. Some of them come in and tell me proudly, this is the last stop before we go home to Israel. Sure enough, we were going to spend, in those days it wasn't like that. You spent months and months here. And since my grandfather came from Israel, a lot of the people knew him, and they spent here in Israel time. In fact, I in the 50s, Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach's father spent Pesach with my father here in Boston. It wasn't here in Brookline. It was still in Dorchester. So it was depression times. This fellow told this Rabbi Weisberg, I heard it from Rabbi Weisberg, and people were having difficult time making Pesach. Wasn't easy. And my grandfather had about 2 dozen people staying over for Pesach. And he calls them all in. He tells them before Pesach, I want all of you to come in. And they come into his study. And he says to the first one, Yankel, I want you. Expenses are high. We don't have what we usually get because people are in difficult straits. It's difficult times. I want $5 for you for Pesach. And he goes through the room and he writes down on an envelope. They give him, of course, $5, whatever it was. The other one, he tells the more affluent ones, $10. And they all go through the list. Can you get a place, please? And they all give him money that they can spend Pesach, and has on that envelope all the names and the amounts, and he puts the money, the cash, into the envelope, and he takes it and puts it into the drawer, and that's it. And of course Pesach time comes and they spend it with my grandfather. He had a big Seder, a lot of people. Those can recall my father also had large Seders in this room. It was packed to the gills over here. And they spent Pesach there. After the last day of Pesach comes Motzei Pesach. He says Avdallah, and the group was there. Some were leaving to wherever they had to go off to do their businesses, whatever they were doing. And he says, wait a minute, before anybody leaves, all of you come back into my office. And he opens up his drawer, takes out that envelope, and he starts reading from the envelope. Yankel, you gave $5? Okay, here's $5. Here's one gave 10, here's 10. 2, here's 2. And he gave back each person the money that they gave him. So they were puzzled. What's going on here? We gave the money that there should be. So they asked the Rebbe, excuse us, but what do you mean? You told us there's a need for the money, and we gladly gave it. Why are you giving it to us back? So he said to us, I'll tell you the truth. I realize that you know that it's difficult straits here during this Great Depression. I don't know if they called it the Great Depression at that time, but during these difficult times. And I knew that you'd be uncomfortable taking whatever you need for your needs. You'll say, okay, I won't have a meal, I won't have a snack, or whatever. I wanted you to feel like guests. Like nowadays, you go to these hotels, they have the tea rooms open 24/7. That's how he wanted them to feel. So therefore, I decided that I'll make you feel that as if you're paying customers. When you're a paying customer, you have a different attitude, and that way you'll take all your needs. And Baruch Hashem, hopefully all of you felt comfortable. But here's all your money's back, because I was able to take care of everybody on my own accord. That was the type of hachnosis orchim that my grandfather had here during those times of the Great Depression. Susie are gonna let who's the ice
Are
cream?
we gonna reintroduce this policy official?
What? To get the money?
The money back?
First get the money and then we'll talk about the rest.
And it was $5 or $10, $2. Dollars were worth a lot more in those days.
Well, of course, I'm not saying not. I remember during the Nixon years, and they had the gas lines, remember? And then there was inflation during Carter years. There was a heavy inflation.
And
And the
then
gas went up. What? Huh?
Carter inflation?
You don't know?
I remember it. I thought this was different.
Not Joe Carter. He
No,
was
Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter. It was terrible inflation. People think the interest rates are terrible now. And the interest rates in those days when you bought a house was 16%, 16%, 18 and a half it went up to.
19 and a half.
Can you imagine? But don't forget the house was much cheaper in those days. But still, imagine you have a mortgage of $100,000. You have to pay. It means you have to pay $18,000 a year.
Just the interest.
Just the interest. Forget about the principal.
Yeah.
So, I remember this fella coming, and I was in yeshiva in Koil, and he said he used to fill up his gas with a $20 or buy. So we said it's difficult with inflation, whatever. She said, no, what difficulty? I take $20, whatever I can get for $20, that's what I buy, and that's it.
$10.
Is there one chocolate?
Vanilla instead? Or just strawberries okay?
It's fine, it's fine. The strawberry's okay, but I take a little bit of both next time. Okay, no. It's okay.
$10.
What?
$10 in 1929 is $180.
$10 what?
1929 is $180.
No, so that's what the difference is.
The Rebbe's
I
father
really
likes chocolate. Rebbe likes vanilla and strawberry, like his mom likes vanilla.
Who's the birthday cake? Oh, who's this?
Cake for the Yartzeit, Today is a day that'll live in infamy, yes?
Yeah, what?
Yes.
Today's what?
A day that'll live in infamy. It's December 7th.
Oh.
That wasn't what I had in mind.
83 years ago.
He was born on December 7th. And that same year, was it the same year that he was born? Elliot Mayle had a son. December 7th is Pearl Harbor Day, you should know. We'll talk about soon. But only son, yeah, but he didn't know it at that time. He was born on Yom Kippur. So he comes over to me and tells me, Reverend Naftali, God has a sense of humor. So I say, what do you mean? So he says, your son was born on December 7th, Larry Bird's birthday, and my son is born on Yom Kippur. You don't tell me he doesn't have a sense of humor?
Vanilla strawberry? Vanilla strawberry.
Oh, come on. I don't need so much ice cream. Come on.
Take a look.
It's good for you.
It's Shirayim, we'll eat the
It's good for the fat. Reduces the swelling.
Yeah, put it on the
I have a problem with this cake. In the wintertime, nowadays, I have to do so much washing, cooking. It's even worse than it used to be. Like here.
Anybody want strawberry?
What about using some kind of hand cream or chocolate?
Yeah.
I asked the Rebbe that question one time. I said, how long will the salad oil?
Huh?
And he hemmed and hawed, and he said, well, yeah, but don't wipe it off. I will tell you, every time I bend that finger, it's gone.
Finished mission.
My mother used to tell a story.
Yeah.
When the old lady was playing cards with her friends,
These don't look like real.
and they say to her, how is she feeling? She says, oi, meine Beine tun mir weh. Meine Füße tun mir weh. Mein Bauch tut mir weh. Ich habe Kopfschmerz. Ich allein so ein bisschen nicht gut.
Talking about ice cream. Everybody knows. Does anybody remember across the street here?
Sure.
There was Brigham's ice cream.
The Rebbe's Brigham's. Sure. Before being kosher.
Can you imagine a young boy growing up in Boston, across the street from Brigham's ice cream, and your parents tell you that store we can't go into. But I'll tell you, I always thought, oh, Brigham's ice cream. That must be, everybody walked into the store and they really enjoy it. See them coming out. Sure enough, after I got married, I was in Lakewood. There was a run from Mahadrin, and my aunt, Rebbe Tumim, she's over 100 years old, my father's sister, calls me up and tells me, I have to tell you this. We got some ice cream from Mahadrin, and it says it was made at Brigham's Ice Cream Factory. They had a special run of Chol Yisrael. So I told the Rebbe, my wife, next time we're in New York, we got to go and get some of this Mahadran ice cream, because this is what I've been waiting for years, to have a taste of that ice cream. I can tell you, there's a saying, Maim Genuvim Yim Toku, that water that is stone is sweet. I tasted the ice cream. I'll take Klein's ice cream any day of the year. I don't think they have any more Brigham's ice cream. They have parlors, yeah?
Yeah, a little bit.
No, just the
If I'm not mistaken, I don't know, when they were here, at one time, Brigham's had a hechsher, it just wasn't Chol Yisrael. It had a hechsher.
Yeah, that could be, but it didn't help me too much.
Are a certain place.
Today's not
Yeah.
Today,
no hechsher?
Today, they might, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I have nothing to do with it.
You need to have Chol Yisrael.
If you did, you would know.
Oh.
They're gonna stop checking
Yeah,
it.
they
instead.
would know.
Here, if you want ice cream, you can just put your milk and your mix into an automatic mixer and just leave it out in the cold in the winter time.
Okay.
Or Shavuos is a very famous place that makes love Yisrael, non-Jewish place.
You want me to believe that? I got a Richard book.
In northeastern Massachusetts?
Northampton, Mass.
Yeah, but who? Which company?
It's called Harold. Once a year they make love Yisrael, just vanilla.
Yeah.
Under Rabbi Kravitsky goes in there and conquers
Who?
it. Kravitsky.
Yeah, probably would.
Kravinsky?
Kravitsky. He's like a Chabadnik.
Yeah, so but
You know
what?
where Harold's was?
Harold?
Harold, was ice cream. They were friends of Steve's. Steve's ice cream.
Also?
I couldn't afford to live there.
Jewish?
Yeah.
Where's this?
Harold's
Yeah.
and Steve's ice cream. They were roommates.
Yeah.
They were together originally, and then
Where-
they split.
Yeah.
I pay more in property tax now than I paid in the mortgage.
The only Harold I know is a Gopin.
Well, you know Harold Snow.
again.
Remember, they used to have the restaurant Harold's on Harvard Street. Yeah, it was, well, it wasn't flat, so. And then they opened up a place on Route 9.
Today?
Yeah, Harold's.
I don't remember.
This was
happy returns?
H-A-R-E-L-L, right? Harold, yeah.
They're kosher, it's not upcharge now.
Got to being Matzah Shabbos, I think.
But they have a location in Cambridge.
Who? Harold's?
Harold.
Yeah.
Is ice cream parlor? Is there ice cream parlor? Ben and Jerry's is also Jewish.
They are? They're very, very anti-Israel.
I know they are. Doesn't mean that they're not Jewish.
Yeah.
You know the story of Belleville.
Tell me the story of Rebbe. Does Rebbe know the story of Rebbe?
Just say a story of the once from Belleville after the 6-Day War. Does that make sense?
Which story? Rebbe after the 6 Day
No, it doesn't
War?
make sense.
Doesn't make
No,
sense.
that
He
was-
was
it was
he passed
Rebbe.
away in the
It
50s.
was Rebbe.
Maybe Rebbe, but not
Yeah, so
Rebbe.
he said like someone asked him, should I keep Shushan Purim?
It's not hard for you to
Which one
remember.
do the Shushan Purim?
It's not hard for you to
He
remember.
said, now that we talk, the
It's not hard for
thing.
you to figure it out.
He's like, wait, who's wait?
A year younger than my son.
It was maybe Rebbe,
Yeah,
maybe
maybe
Rebbe, not Rebbe.
Right.
You know what's big about that number? You know what's big about that number? It's more than halfway to 70.
Should we sing Yom Kippur play out?
I'll tell you a funny story about figuring out somebody's birthday, your cousin.
No, you started.
One day, I was doing a hector, and they brought in somebody who had to study a machine. Who was this machine? Who was this guy that brought the machine? Your mother's brother's son.
No, it was before that.
Okay?
What?
Okay?
Yeah. And he and I got into a discussion, and he told me that this was his birthday, and he says it comes out the same day as the actual birthday in English, the same way. So I looked at him and I said, you're 38. He said, how did you know? I said, I know because I'm 19 years old.
Hey, so the story reminds me of the Gemara. It says, save the leaning of a poor person. This is
10 years ago. It's not,
to learn what
you're talking about like 10 years ago probably. It was like 10 years
Rebbe
ago.
didn't want
So
to
that's his first name, but twice.
He's more than 10 years ago.
It's probably,
He was by my house,
he's
no?
already 50 years old?
Sure.
Quite a while ago, so he must be.
He must be about 56, 56, 57 years old. Why, my Shim is also 56, 57. He's no younger than my Shim.
You have to give a shkoyach to the Malka club. Joe and Mashiach putting.
And Jonathan. Shkoyach.
Yeah.
Just one more. My grandfather was nifta when my father was still a bocha. He was not married. In 1941, he was nifta the weekend, Ches Kislev, the weekend before Pearl Harbor. And he spoke about the Shabbos before he was nifta. He spoke about that there's going to be at that time already in 41 they already knew it took a long time coming to the United States in those days. Now everything is instantaneous, but in those days people didn't know what was going on. There were different rumors, and he said that there's going to come a time it's going to be a war, continue having the war, and the United States will come into the war, and the good side will be victorious. But he says, I won't be there. And he passed away a couple days later, and a week later is when there was Pearl Harbor, and the United States entered the war. Passed away on a Thursday night. And it was supposed to be Malava Malka. Not Malava Malka, Kiddush usually Kiddush Levana was on Motzei Shabbos, but he did Kiddush Levana on Thursday night. And people were wondering, why do it Thursday night? We can do it Motzei Shabbos. It's better to do it in Shabbos Begodim. And he said no, he wants to do it Thursday night. And there was a chosin in Shul then, Mandel. Those remember the principal here, Rabbi Mandel. It was Rabbi Mandel's father. And he told the chosin after they danced for Kiddush Levana, he told the chosin, I want to dance with you because you became a chosin. Everybody looked at it strange. You don't dance. Kiddush Levana, you dance with a chosin. And he went upstairs, and several hours later he passed away.
Wow.
That was how he passed away, and he left the Tzavah that if he cannot be interned in Israel right away, they should take him over right away after they can get the first chance. And in 46, 5 years later, my father took him on the first boat that they could get to take him to Israel, and he was interned on Har HaZeisim in 46. And my father did not go to the kever until after 67, because by the time it was impossible to get there after the 48 war. What was this? Milchemes HaShichrur. Independence.
Was it Jordanians?
Huh?
It's Jordanian.
Yeah, it was under Jordan. Jordan didn't allow in. I remember my father going there in 1964, and he described how he went up onto a house. On the roof of the house, he could see Har HaZeisim from afar, but he couldn't get to the kever until 67. Susni Orgalein of Al-Kol Yisrael.
Where was the Rebbe's grandfather buried before?
He still had, there is a matzeva, there is a monument, it's in Long Island.
Where?
Wellwood.
Oh, okay, sure. My grandmother.
That's where my parents are buried.
Yeah. It's a big cemetery.
Has the matzeva.
Wellwood?
Is there any? You don't know. You would think that.
There's the matzeva, is there?
There's a matzeva there, sure. You keep the matzeva.
No, not
You need my machroinim.
Just bring grape juice from the refrigerator. There's grape juice from the refrigerator.
Who needs grape juice?
Yeah, we should wine.
Wine. I'm not gonna, I don't. The grape juice is too sweet for me.
The Rebbe's sweet enough for me.
Occasionally.
Put a bigger plate. Plate. Yeah, one.
Rebbe didn't how is the Rebbe gonna heal? The Rebbe needs to heal. I told the Rebbe the Rebbe needs hot chocolate every day. That's what the doctor said.
Dum da dum ba dum da dum ba bum dum da da da.
Shir Hamalo, Shir Hamalo, Shir Hamalo, Shir Hamalo.
Let's say Aboisai Mevelem Ben Shei. Yishem Adoinim Avoidoch Me'ato V'Adoinim B'Shis Maron for Aboisai Nevorech Alehein Shechal Mishalo. Baruch Alehein Shechal Mishalo Yiti V'Chayini Baruch Ato Adino Zonas Oilam. Kamir Pisach Yidech Mazbil Chotzei Baruch Ato Adino Yazones Hakol. Chaleiso v'chol shol v'yala koil adinoi leinu anachnu moidemo. Lach baruchato adinoi al oretz v'yala mozoi. Kim liyotcham leya psucha gdosha chovesh olay nevoish v'olay nikolay v'olay nikosha eliyoyim v'olay Chato adinoi boine berachma v'shalayim amen. Mikol tivli oilam al yechasreinu.
Revenue, the Rebbe Meyer says a Rachman and Yakin Manu by benching the name of Malka.
Huh? Oh.
Yeah. I was thinking Rich Meyer also does.
Chato adinoi Eloheinu melech haolam boirei pri hagofen.
Yeah. Well, he took from the Rebbe's Zatzal, so not.
Huh?
Took it from Boston. Or from
Yeah,
us.
how do you know?
He wrote it out.
He wrote that he took it from the Bostoner?
Yeah.
From my father.
Yeah.
Oh, because what?
Yeah. Kiddush Levana, why not?
If there's Levana.
If there is one. Check. Yeah. 8 minutes. We can do it now.
8 minutes until we get there, yeah.
Never tell me.
You gotta listen to learn it, and then you can sing it.
Are you doing Kiddush Levana?
Yeah, we're doing Kiddush Levana.
Okay. Kiddush Levana.
Kiddush Levana. Till we get, yeah, we're doing Kiddush Levana.
Put it on me.
So what happened the night they won? They won in St. Louis.
Yeah. That's Kiddush Levana.
There was a full solar eclipse. So somebody came up to me and says, "What's the significance of a full solar eclipse the night that they win the World Series?" And I said, "Huh? There was a lunar eclipse. It was a full lunar eclipse. What's the significance? We're a bunch of lunatics if you're a Red Sox fan."
I thought this was when the Rebbe had Ruach HaKodesh and he called the Red Sox winning the World Series.
That was something else. That was the Rosh Chodesh Elul. Because the Rosh Chodesh Elul, there was a Shabbos Mevarchim, and it was the only time that it came out without minutes and seconds. It was on the hour. That happens once every 60 years or whatever.
You went up top?
So, and the last time it happened wasn't that 1950 when I said, okay, this year they're going to win because it's exact on the hour with the lunar. Sure enough,
I wish I was that show. I would have put a bet on it. The Rebbe said so.
I didn't announce it. I told Steve Breslin to announce it. He was doing the announcements then. Yeah.